We are back to finish up our community tour for this week. It's about close to 10 minutes before our usual start time. So we're going to cover some things that we did yesterday, but I think it's important to get that out there for those that don't regularly visit the forums and check the Twitter feeds and all that. There is the residential renovation event ongoing. Again, this is a monthly event. It rotates between 3 sets of decor packages or decor loot tables, or however you want to say it. So if you missed out on a previous one, you just have to wait around till the next time it becomes available. It's a monthly thing. I think the quest giver is in the city. I guess where the usual groupings of event quests will initiate. Um, and if you complete them, I think they're dailies of some sort. You get tokens of some kind, an event currency. And from what I understand, you can collect them for future events. So say maybe the decor set that's available this month isn't particularly what you're looking for. You're waiting for the next loot table to come through. Then you can at least do the quest this month, save up the tokens, and then the next time it comes up again, you'll have some extras already in your storage savings to spend on the ones that you're actually aiming to purchase. This month is covering the Dungeon Chase collection, which is the Taurine, Osun, and Protostar decor sets, which includes like the Protostar shelves, that big kind of platform thing, the one that I think we saw over on that side of the first plots of this community. There's the Taurine stone door. Looks really fabulous. Open it up. It's really good for hidden cave entrances and stuff. There's the Osun weapons rack, among probably many other items. Now, if you're aiming for like the pets and the mounts and stuff, I think those are like stationary. They're always available every month when this event pops up. But the decor sets themselves, they, like I said, they exchange out I guess it's every month. And so like if you see one type this month, then it won't roll around until 2 to 3 months from now, something like that. Um, Also, I mentioned yesterday that the InLiving in WildStar website, it was a or is a database of sorts. It's all about the furniture, the decor. They provide screenshots. They give information like where it comes from, like if it's a vendor item, if it's a trade skill item, if it's something that comes from uh, a special event, that kind of thing. I don't know if there is plans to make it even more in depth because, like we know that there was one group that was organizing a listing of all the lighting and giving information like, does the light actually give off light? Does it count towards the light decor count restrictions? What color it is? If it has a pattern, that kind of stuff. I don't know if there's plans for all of that to go that far into detail, but it's still a great way of previewing the furniture and getting a little extra information about it. It's I think it's been at least a few years since he actually touched up on the website. I say that, and I think he's already started adding some of the new pieces that he hadn't included, because I've already noticed some of the Red Moon stuff that isn't that long ago that they were released. He's already added them into the database. But I do know that he's going through the process of updating a lot of the screenshots because he's kind of a stickler about all the screenshots matching. And I think he's already changed it like twice because Carbine themselves changed it in the preview. I think originally it was like a blue, and then it went kind of like a more of a black, and then I don't know how it is now, but um, he's been updating that. He's also been updating the uh, the names listings. A lot of the item names themselves have changed. Probably the example I use the most often is the Chua Tech fencing. It's now called the Cosmotronic something or other. There's a lot of little quirky stuff like that that he's having to weed through and update in the site. Now he's got, I think, a couple of threads in the official forums in this housing subforum. One announcing that he is actually working to update the site and looking for assistance in any kind of listings that people have been working on since he's been away that might help him speed up the process. But also, I think there was one where I think it was specifically about event decor, like those related to the holidays, such as Shades Eve and Winterfest. Because I think he departed or became less active in the game and in updating his site just before we started actually having yearly events and stuff. So if you are aiming to assist Wilson in getting this website up and relevant, or more so than it already is, feel free to drop him a message or a DM on the forums. I think it's Wilson420 is his handle. I'm sure he would appreciate it. I think he's accepting screenshots as well. Um, I know there's a registration thing that you can go through to the site if you want to actually join the site. I think you can contribute directly there. Um, but yeah, even if you can just give him some verbal information, if you can, maybe you see something that's already on the site that doesn't quite have accurate information or something like that, I'm sure he would be delighted in getting some extra information to include so that it's up to date and useful for everyone. Like I said, when the site first come out and everything, I used that like the Bible. This was before I really got into the KBT. Now, KBT, the Katia Builder Toolkit, actually has a decor shopper built into it. The only reason I kind of hesitate to really promote it heavily as a site like Wilson's is because the add-on actually draws from the database that's in the game, so it doesn't distinguish between actual items that are live in the game and items that are just kind of floating in the background that actually haven't been released. So there are a few that are pictured or you can preview them, but you can't actually get them yet. It's not like there's tons of those, but it is a little confusing to some builders when they see the item and they want it, or they, would like to get a hold of it or whatever, and discover later that that's not an actually live item. Um, Aside from that, though, both tools are great resources in kind of, like I said, window shopping. You can kind of plan ahead. It also helps when you're looking for a specific um, themed kind of item, like uh, we know that like the Draken decor and like the Falcon decor are really prevalent with the skulls and bones and stuff. But there are other items that are outside those particular themed decor that also have those touches. And sometimes having a good, reliable resource of many screenshots and stuff can help um, locate or identify every item that might suit, even if it isn't specifically named Drake and something or Falcon something, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, the great news for housers that are looking for additional resources, that Wilson is back to work on it. Um, I've already added the link to the resources section on my Twitch channel page, and like I said, if you want to help get that squared away with him to speed things up, I'm sure he would be very appreciative of that. Let's see, is there anything else? Mm, Back to the renovation event. It ends on the 16th, so you just have today and possibly part of tomorrow, I guess, to finish up that event for this month. Excuse me. So yeah, I haven't really done it myself yet. I don't think I've even done it once. But for those of you that are looking for extras of those particular decor, it's a great way of knowing when it's gonna be coming around. That eventually it'll come back around. Because I know there was a lot of people, especially when the space one uh, was released with all the spaceship parts. There was a lot of people upset because they thought that they'd never see it again, or that it was so kind of iffy that maybe we might see the event twice a year or something, and now it's a lot more regular. So yeah, I hope that continues. Sorry, still have scratchy throat. The rain has been kind of dragging me down. So anyway, let's get started. So good morning, Poi, and anyone else that happens to be in the chat. I hope you guys enjoy today's finishing bits of the Xing community tour. This was one of the honorable mention winners from the Community Showdown competition from last year. We have this one to go, and then one more on entity side, and then that will be all of the winners covered. There are a few other communities that I'd like to cover that actually participated in the competition but weren't recognized, meaning they didn't win any of the first, second, third place and weren't honorable mentions, but did actually build something in for that. We've already seen a few of those, and we'll be finishing up with that as well. And then we'll start mixing and matching it up with, sometimes we'll do individual plots and sometimes we'll do some communities. It just depends on my mood and the time that I have, and if there are any that are currently available, open and complete, and blah blah blah. So yesterday we visited the first 3 plots, the ones on the bottom, and now we're going to be going through the top 2. Excuse me. So that means we visited the Market District, the Honey District, and then the last one where the giant pyramid was, where I think it was called the Palace Galactica. It turned out to be a theater of some sort, for opera kind of thing, or a play, or a comedian, or whatever you decide to, performance kind of thing. Great stuff. Lots of fun ideas for those that are looking to figure out if they want to do a city build, how to do those skylines to make it look like it's the city is hustling and bustling with skyscrapers and that kind of thing. Ideas about how to identify different sections. Some don't bother with labeling their different districts. This one actually gives several little locations where it's like a street sign to point you in the right direction. If you're deciding that that's the section you want to go to, you know how to get to it. So, excuse me, I apologize, but I'm like really having the sniffles, sneezies, coughing. It's disgusting. Okay, so uh, the main divider between the top 2 and the bottom 3 is this like a tram or train track. Of course, they're using the actual train cars. The track itself is magnetized containers. And then you can see the different tracks. There's, I forget how many cars that they have available. They've got like the engine and then several of the other things. Some people like to blow them up and use them as actual houses since they have the interiors here available. But, you know, want to use it as an actual terrain, that's good enough. Now, previously with the like street signs, they were like functioning, but I like how when we get closer to Junktown, it becomes like they're kind of broken out, messed up. They've been replaced with, you know, old like bits. So instead of it saying market, they've kind of destroyed it up and put in jerks. And then here, knobby instead of honey. So it's like just some playing around with things. If you're wondering about the little wood surfaces, that's the back of the pod planter. It's the one that's like a rack of herbs. This one's the top of one of the dressers. This one is the round table that you get in like your starter house kit. And this one here, I want to say is another dresser. I'm not positive which one it is. Nice little wood bits though. Now, I think when I was running through here the other day, just checking this out and kind of getting a feel for uh, the plot and what direction we would be going, I believe there's no entrance to the furthest like northeast plot from here. It's like just solid wall down this way. So I assume this is the only entrance. I could be wrong. Maybe I just missed it. Maybe it's a hidden thing. But that's going to be my assumption. Now, we've got the little ticket booths, just like we did on the other side. But notice these actually have, it looks clean and everything. But as we've come closer to Junktown, you can see it's all boarded up and broken and lots more trash laying around. It just looks abandoned. So we're going to head into Junktown, and that one is by Fulana Navarra. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's clearly a junk town. I mean, there's a lot of, it's like disorganized to the max. I'm sure there's some, I don't know what you call it, organized chaos or something. Uh, Clearly, like this is like a little living area where there's the crates, the metallic cargo things are being used as little houses for the Junktown peoples. This was doing repairs on his home. Lots of debris. They even picked a ground remodel that looks like a lot of brick and stone that's just been cluttered. Even the FAB kits that are chosen are kind of junky in their own selves, like I think this is the robot shop one, and this is the hobo train, so that if you get real close to it, the hobos come out and chase you and that kind of stuff. Sure, there's some others, but trying to see if there's anything hidden that I should be showing. Yeah, I think this is the FAB kit, the robot shop or whatever. And then here, it's like a little camp out. I like the little homemade tents. I mean, we have I think these are Pell tents, or uh, I get the Felkrin and the Pell mixed up. So forgive me on that, but those are like the tents are come as is, but these are custom built, and they're just using the Draken shelves because the Draken shelves have that little pelt of fur and the animal skins, and it works nicely for those that are looking for kind of a like teepee look. Obviously, it's not shaped like a teepee, but it has that, you know, village native kind of feel to it because of the fabric. And then notice they get bigger where I would assume the leader of this little part. But again, it's just the shelves. Now this little hut thingy is like a garbage thing. It's just scraps that they've collected. So you've got the boardwalk pieces. There's that, I think it's called ramshackle fencing. A lot of people love this because you get some different textures that you normally wouldn't. You know, like if you're looking for that corrugated tin. And I think this one also has like a hole. And if you make it large enough, people can actually go through the hole, if I remember rightly. Would like to remind viewers, if you do have any questions, even if you can't make it to the live streams and ask your questions right then and there, I'm happy to answer them if you want to post them in a private message on Twitch, or if you want to post them in the comments on the videos themselves. I do my best to answer all of them. I get a few every now and then um, on YouTube comments. I'm happy to answer them as best as I can, and if I don't know the answer, then I will try and give like suggestions as to where you might find the answer or who might be able to help you out with that. Because obviously I don't know it all, uh, clearly, but I do try to get as helpful as I can for those that are looking for information. Like if you're looking for a specific themed house as an inspiration source, like say you're looking for a cityscape, I would say, well, you can go to this community or this individual's plot, and they might have some ideas that can stir some of your own up. Or if you're looking for a place that has some nightclubs, or you're specifically looking for places that are Oran themed or Macari themed. Uh, I used to keep a more accurate, I guess, or descriptive list of particular themes for the houses. But it became problematic because so many builders will change the theme, or uh, yeah, it's mostly just they would change the theme. They would either completely redo it, or change it enough where it didn't quite fit the descriptor that I put it under. And it became difficult to keep that up to date as well as I would have liked, especially considering at the time things were really booming as far as new plots popping up left and right. They still pop up quite regularly now, but not as much as they did in the beginning when housing really blossomed. But if you're looking for a specific theme, generally I can kind of think about, well, I think I recall checking out one this, and we can dig through some of our older videos and I can help point you in direction of ones that you might can look at for inspiration of what you might be looking for. This pile of stuff, I'm not sure if that's an actual item or if that's something they put together. It looks like pre-made, so I don't know if this is maybe part of this thing here. I'm gonna assume so. So I'm going to guess that this is also a fab kit of some sort. I think it's one of those like tower defense, if I remember right, where you click on the thing and it activates and you have to like kill the stuff before it gets up to the eyeball or something. I don't know if that's an eyeball, but it reminds me of like the Sauron's tower or whatever. So I think that RoboPile is part of it. Again, it's difficult, especially since I don't use fab kits myself, generally speaking. Um, and then I come to a plot where it kind of looks like stuff that they put together, and then you can't distinguish between the two. I know for certain this part is definitely the fab kit, but like this, I was like, I'm not sure. But it's 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 a good sign when you have trouble distinguishing between the player built areas and the actual fab kits, because that means they've done a good job of blending it in. Um, Others is kind of starkly evident that it doesn't quite suit. I think a lot of that comes from like if you have a jungle plot and then suddenly you have a snow fab kit in the middle of it, that does kind of feel a little jarring. But some can pull it off depending on how they do it. Now this little, again, is it Falcon or Pell? I think it's Falcon. Tower thing, I have no idea where that comes from. I assume it's a raid or a dungeon drop, because generally if it's a really cool island like this, I don't have access to it because I don't raid or dungeon anymore. But I'm sure there are probably folks that if they got a hold of this, they'd figure out other ways to use it than just a standalone tower like this. I'm sure just looking at the item, there's probably those that could just fashion theirs from scraps that they put together. I could imagine like using these shelves in a way to make a little rounding staircase like this or ramp, whatever you want to call it. For someone that doesn't have access to this particular item, I imagine they could probably fashion one similarly, using a lot of the tent pieces that we have, the bone bits from like some of the fencing things. Again, it won't look exactly like this, but I can envision a builder coming up with something to substitute in lieu of having the actual item on hand. And that's part of the fun of housing. If you don't have the item that you want, find a way to make it yourself. That's clever building to me. Okay, I'm like just putting myself in a dead end. Kind of cheating, not going the actual path through this place. I'm trying to see. Looks like they've got it pretty much blocked off. With, I keep calling them the reinforced walls, but I'm sure there's a different name for that. Looks like someone got a hold of quite a few of these foreign landings and have just decided to make it kind of like a raised little community village here using the uh, metal containers again as little houses, but notice they've color shifted a bunch of them to kind of give them some individuality there. Awesome jump skills. I totally misjudged the distance. I would be so bad at those platform games. Not would be, I am. I'm bad at those. I like this structure here. Clearly a player built one, using Chua pillars, board walking, and then some of the Chua building blocks. I like these structures, but going up them really gets me dizzy. stairs or the ramps or whatever they decide to use. All. Here's kind of a sort of bird's eye view. I think these are all red moon pillars, or it could be some of the frost, not frost wolf, frost fire, frost something. It's some of that decor that you can get in Arctera. It looks a little like it's iced metal, like iced copper or something. What the piece is called, I have no idea. It's probably something pillar. That's about all I can suggest. But I like the brackets. It looks like, kind of crashed over. You see some fire out there. I kind of suspect this was like almost like the industry part where a lot of the uh, like the foundries and things like that, or maybe it was these are supposed to be uh, these buildings in construction, maybe, or new skyscrapers or something. I have absolutely no idea what it's meant to be. Um, this is just a generator, and then they tacked on the windmill decor. This is great for those that like to make their own vehicles, like aircraft. We saw some, I think it was Bucky that built some, maybe Marshall too. Some old-fashioned planes. Okay, I gotta get back down here. Now this would be the entrance to the plot if you came into it as the individual, because you can still enter the individual plots even if you don't go to the community entrance itself. I thought maybe the search tool would like distinguish between a plot that's part of a community. I think I just went around in a circle, didn't I? And those that are actually standalone, but they don't. If you're just looking for communities, period, you can go to the community section, but the individuals, they're not strictly standalone plots. Some of these listed will be actually part of a community, so kind of a hit and miss on that. I don't know how I got up originally, but anyway. I think this is one of the tank thingies. I don't know where it comes from. I assume it's probably a kit from the cash shop. I could be wrong though. Again, a lot of these new ones I'm not really familiar with. This, honestly don't know if this is come as is or if this is something they put together. I honestly don't know if it's a standalone. It looks pretty cool if it's something someone put together using one of the train pieces and then adding in all the sandbags and such. Uh, that's even more cool. That's all I can say. You can tell we definitely need some other kind of debris items because the repetition of the paper pile or the discarded notes or whatever they're called, uh, it's a little too monotonous, especially in like a pile like this. I'm not saying anything, it's nothing against the builder because you work with what you have, but I just think it's a good indication that we need some more different kinds of things to allow the builders to give a little more variety in the trash. Um, I think there's a few items that could probably lend itself to it. I've seen some use it in uh, other situations, like on the, I think it's one of the speakers. There's a beer bottle that's laying down. A lot of people use that. You could use some of the beer bottles. There's individual items you can get, but if you're trying to go for a cluster of things, there's not too many items that work really good with that. But like say, trying to think of a few. Um, like if you're looking for a lot of like papers and stuff, maybe the a filled trophy cabinet, the one that has like all the lights and stuff on it. You might can get away with some of that. The treasure pile, it doesn't quite work because it looks like a treasure pile. If you could just get the like the vases and stuff by themselves, maybe. Um, can't really think of any. I know like I think the torn up couch. Can't remember the name of that one. Um, but on the bottom of it, it has like I think it's a cement brick. I've seen a few people use that in interesting ways. Again, it's not like you're getting a lot of items for one thing, but if you're looking for some extra debris stuff, rather than having to pile in multiple items, that can kind of get some interesting stuff using those. I guess this is like a little makeshift hospital area. Don't think I would trust coming here for treatment. Might just be me, but here we have another tower. This one's using actual stairs rather than the boardwalk ramps. That's a pretty lousy home. You've got very minimal protection from the elements. These have it a little better. Looks like they've got some actual walls, sort of. Not as drafty, I guess. That's the tough part of using these boardwalks for walls or roofs. You have those brackets to contend with. I did it using, I used them for the pirate house I built on a former Guildmates plot. And it was very problematic when it came to working out the interior and how the rooms would be divided up. It was not an easy thing to sort out because the brackets just kept getting in the way. Had weird shaped rooms or pockets of space, and it was difficult to make it look, like meant to be that way. Why would they put these brackets in? Here's another view. That's the tower we went up before. There's the Foundry FAB kit, I guess, or part of it. Like they got the garden FAB kit as well. There's the robot place. Now these oversized bits, I want to say this, the crane, like the Duotech arm, sort of. I don't know for certain. Wow, this just kind of stops. It's like not completely built. Yeah, see, this looks like part of the spaceship or something, and they're just using it as a big hunk of material to kind of make it look like a big building. I don't know what sky they're using. It reminds me of the Shade Z one, but it doesn't have the Jack Shade face on the moon. It has that spooky feel to it. It's so close to falling off, it's a wonder. Here's some of the Lob Decor. Again, that comes in a kit. It includes like the Kurg and the Lop and the little tents. The hay pile stack. There's also some crates and stuff, I think, that comes with it. And of course, the string lights. It's a fun kit, especially if you're looking for some colorful, like little native tents and decorations. Um, I would prefer if we could get like just these individual items because I don't want all of the tent and the lop stuff because I don't really deal with a lot of NPC things. But I would love to have like the hay piles and the crates, pile of crates, just as an individual thing. I think this is a fab kit too, but I don't remember the name of it. Not the silo one, different looking. What are we on here? R, I guess. It reminds me of Fate a lot just because of how it's all very makeshift and how the vendors are just kind of parked under a little covering. And of course, there's lots of trash. Fate has a lot of garbage piles and stuff. In fact, I think there's a little challenge quest where you pick up the trash. Okay, I'm looking for if there is a house here. Maybe it's this and this is the Osun house. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So this is the Osun house. It's basically this big tower thing. We've seen some that they've figured out ways of kind of covering it up. I call it pimping the prefab because you want the prefab interior space, but you may not necessarily like the look of the exterior, so you modify it. We see that a lot. We've seen some of the spacious exile homes turned into these really creepy mansions by modifying the exterior to something entirely different than what it was originally. It's awesome when a builder can do that, but from my own personal experience, it's not as easy as. So here they've got a little fire burning going on. Again, I don't know how much, I've never used the Ocean House. I don't think I got that far in the rewards. So I don't know if this comes with it or if that's something added. I suspect added, but I know the boardwalk here is probably added. I don't think you can climb up the OSIM bits, and I don't think it has like the sign there and stuff. But the chains are part of the build itself. Okay, where's the door again? I should have went the other way. Oh gosh. So inside, from what I recall, there really wasn't a whole lot going on. It's kind of like a junk pile. I don't know if this is like supposed to be where they bring all the scrap metals and then they melt it down and make something else, weaponry or something. But you can see like they've got some of the sulfurous tubing, make it look like that's where the melted stuff is being siphoned into or out of. I think this is one of those taurine forges or something, and they're using it like, again, like they're dropping off these metals and melting them down to build other things. And I think that's all this entire, maybe not a grand use of the space, but it fits the theme of the plot, so can't really complain too much. I mean, I could, but I don't know the name of the items. I think this is like part of it, and it's just like sticking out oddly. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a giant um, forge foundry. I don't know what you call that, smelting plant. You can tell how big the Osun house is, though. There's a lot of space. It's divided up a little strangely. It's maybe not as easy to work with as other spaces that are just like one giant square of space. But I've seen a lot of people turn it into like an internal city with all the little cubicles here being divided up into little shops and things. Really fantastic job. Okay, think that might be it for this plot. And take another look. I think I have to go back the other way to get to the next side. If I can get to that from. Now this item here, that's all one piece, all this piping and these barrels, it's like a honey something. And they're using that as a little catwalk up above. Yeah, it's like two of the honey thingies. These bits here, if you're wondering about this strange pattern, I think that's the bottoms of the crowded graves decor piece. It looks like a bunch of gravestones crammed up, um, and they just flip it over, and it has that weird, funny texture. And part of it they've capped with Draken walls, but that one you could clearly see the texture. It has that weird, I don't know, like unfinished look. Probably the first thing a lot of builders will do. As soon as a new item comes out, they'll flip it, turn it, resize it, tweak it, just to see what all it looks like from different angles, different sizes, because you just never know what you're going to use it for. Like, I think this is part of an engine piece or a flange thing from one of the spaceship bits, and they're using it as like a roofing cap between the different sections there. I figure I went through one up above or awesome. Like the worst. I think we did, but I know we went down the bottom, but I don't recall along up here. Again, the brackets are a pain. It looks awesome from the outside. You know, it looks like these really ramshackle houses, but then when you go in, because of the boardwalks, they have that awful bracketry that just makes it awkward. Like, what's this doing here? Kind of reminds you of like Mad Max if you're looking for that, or some kind of other dystopian after everything's destroyed kind of place. Okay. I think that covers it for this one. So we're going to see if we can get to the entrance to the other one. Oops. Clearly those have collision. They're not like the other chains where you can just walk through. Now, if this is a custom built piece, I have no idea what's doing that heavy light flashing. I know there's a couple items that have glow effects, but not as fast paced as that, so I have no idea what that might be. This is where we cross over into the final plot. And this one is Malum Vetus. It's called the Incident Zone, which is promising. If you're wondering about the splatters, it's just the eye splotch. With the color shifting, it makes it easier to make it look more like spilled wine if you go with a red or blood rather than just leaving it always purple. I always just said it was like spilt slushy or something. So yeah, this is, look at the sky. It's pretty much changed the mood. There's embers flying through the air. So yeah, it's like something bad happened here. So here you have where they've built these, I don't know what you call those pieces. The stuffs, they built the stuffs and then they had to break it down to make it look like it had fallen over, torn up, crashed, gotten busted. I guess maybe this was some piping and this is the spill after it busted up. These kind of remind me of some kind of like industrial tanks where there's like storage of some kind of bad chemicals and things. That's what I'm gonna go with here. Some kind of petrol facility or I don't know. Probably thinking too much along the lines of where my husband worked. But like here, there's like these little, yeah, see how this one's leaking? They've color shifted the waterfall to be more of a purple color, which I think is clever. I mean, it gives people ideas. You know, maybe you don't want a full plot of destruction, but if you're looking for, like, say, someone wants to pretend it's a washing machine that's leaking, or maybe someone builds a big rig truck, like a semi or something, and they want to say it's crashed or jackknifed on the highway or something, and they want to spill. This is a fun idea. Um, give someone else some inspiration for something else that they've built. But just look at all the pillars used for here. What it was meant to be, I have no idea. Other buildings, uh, bridges of some sort. Here's the zone-in area where you come in. Now, if you're wondering about these shiny, kind of almost like they've been slicked up with oiled water or something, that again is part of those Arctera pieces. Like, I don't know if it's Osun specifically or what, but it has that funny texturing. It's shiny metal with like, again, it looks oily to me. You know how like oil and water don't mix. It has that look, almost like mother of pearl sheen to it. And that's what a lot of these walls and such are built out of. Here again, some more chemical storage. I have no clue. Then we have a few buildings that don't appear to be where you can like actually get into them. Most of them being built with, some of this is the fencing. It's the bottom part. They just flipped it over so the fence is down below. I like these as curbs. Now I know there's an actual street curb decor pack, but if you're wanting to go the cheap man's way, these work really great. Or like, say you have a city and you're looking for like, you know how they have the median between roads and you like put trees or something there. Those work perfect for that. This here, I think, is planters that are upside down and just been recolored so it doesn't have that orange light for it. ATW. I assume this is some kind of weird landing pad. Which one? I have no clue. And I don't know if this is supposed to be representative of maybe all of this destruction and leaking elements and stuff have created these mutant bone creatures. That's the idea behind it, or maybe they're the ones that attacked and destroyed all of this stuff. I have no idea. I'm sure there's a story behind it. Maybe there's some kind of a role-playing element to why they built these particular plots the way they did. Oh, are you? Hopefully I'm not upsetting them too much with my commentary because I'm like completely clueless. Uh, these are the spooky windows. They're typically green and they've recolored them at orangey red, which I think is fantastic because it looks like it's on fire inside. That's a fun idea because it has that animation to it. So it looks like flames. That's a great idea actually for the use of the spooky windows. This is a FAB kit. I forget what it's called, but you like click on it and I think you get invaded by multiple baddies and you have to battle it out. I think if I remember right, I kept getting killed trying to defend, like blasted something or other. Not sure. But again, with this destruction, having it all broke down, that's not as easy as it looks like. You think, oh, you just, throw things around. Really, it's not because when you have things laying on top of each other, it becomes an issue of you don't want it floating above the item below it, but you don't want it sinking in too far because then it looks like it's like melded or melted. Um, so getting it positioned just right is actually, it's a little time consuming. Same goes for simple things like doing a place setting, maybe putting the fork in a dish or having some items crisscross, that kind of thing for on your table setting. It's the same principle, but when it comes to this stuff, it's really easy. I've seen some places where they like have a pile of cardboard boxes, and then like half a box is like actually blended into another one, and it looks a little weird and kind of throws it off. But if you have someone that's taking the time to place items uh, with careful attention, it really helps sell the idea that there has been something that was actually a solid item like these and that has been actually broken down haphazardly. It doesn't look super staged. It's like when you go into a house that maybe they want to try to portray a bar fight with chairs tipped over. You don't want to get it, again, you want to make sure everything's not floaty, because then you start getting like the poltergeist feel, which it would be odd unless you're actually going for a spooky house theme. But yeah. So I guess the final bit here that we need to check out is the house. Now, if I remember right, there's really not a whole lot in here. But for those of you that haven't really seen the black hole house, prefab house, this is an opportunity to kind of see what is a possible thing to it. Now, it comes with this little blown out crater. You get the little bridge with its animation. I haven't really seen too many people using this particular house. Um, and when they do, they leave it like this. I haven't seen one like bling it out and hide it per se. There might be one or two that did, maybe covered it up and you just come into the little hole itself. And so you don't see the crater, but most of them leave it like this. Now, if I remember right, when you go in, it's typically just pitch black, which is kind of disorienting. But folks figured out that you can change the lighting in the room. Some have added walls and it's like really warped weird and everything. But this one, I can get close enough to go inside, has made it into a room in space. And you can see how pitch black it is in here. Again, when you come in, it's just completely black. There's no lighting whatsoever, and it's really freaky. And of course, you got the door right in the middle. But they turned it into this weird little room here. And I'm not even sure what's being used. I think it's the red moon lights. And then just some colored orange walls. But I think that's what they're getting, this little lattice pattern is just crisscrossing the lights. Super bright, and it just, you can see the clash of, it's just like there's nothing there. It's really creepy. What is that, a banana just out there? I'm probably not supposed to be looking on the out edges, but I can't help it. Yes. There's some stairs. Where do the stairs go? And I swear that's a banana, but maybe it's the little moon on the top of the Lob shrine. But then I would wonder, okay, where's the glowing light that comes with the shrine? So I'm going to stick with banana. Like I said, I haven't seen too many builders actually use the black hole house, so I can't really give too much advice or suggestions as to what can be done with it. I've just seen a few and even fewer screenshots of those that have used it. Personally, I would probably never use it. It's just not, I can't think of anything that would go very well with it, but for those that, this particular theme, it works well. Obviously something happened and it went poof. I don't know why my little light is lighting up there. But yeah, interesting stuff. Again, if you're looking for ideas for how to add destruction to your plot, obviously you're going to be looking for things that can look like debris. I think like this part here and some of this, I think that's part of the brick pile. They've just recolored it so it looks more like stone rather than the red bricks. I guess brick is a stone too, but anyway. uh, and how they distinguish between the building that was burning and this one that has just the green. So like those are still intact, but the ones over here are at risk of cooking whoever's inside. Now, I think this part here is part of the FAB kit, but even looking at it, I'm sure there are things that you could use as ideas for your own destruction. I mean, we have a lot of fire items, not only the fire pits and the campfire, but there's the fire strips that you get from the, I can't think, the Z-Pre Invitational, the hoverboard racing. Those work great. Um, for the smoke, there's the smoke packs. If you don't want to go with the packs, there's the smokes that come from the toxic barrels, the witch's brew, the bubbling cauldron, the teacup. Um, there's even the smoke that comes from the blue light flare. Um, again, debris can be just about anything, but there's several items that are kind of broken down that would work well. Now, if you're looking for like charred bits, that might be more difficult. I think probably the best item, if you're looking for something like that, would probably be the bottom of the campfire. We've seen it used in a few places that almost looks like one of those bear rugs, but like it's on fire. But it has some black bits with like ember looking brightness. That would probably be your best use of if you're looking for something that looks charred or like it's burning. If you're using it though, obviously you're going to get the sound effects and the uh, visual effects of the embers floating up because of course it is the campfire. Hey Jeptar, or Lucky, aka Lucky. Glad you could join. Unfortunately, you're coming in on the very last part of this because we're just about wrapped up here. But I appreciate it. I hope we've done your work justice. I'm sure I've probably misnamed a bunch of things and have not been able to identify everything correctly, but that's just how it goes. But yeah, I've had fun touring the place. Again, I think there's, even if someone doesn't go for a theme completely like this, there are certain things that they can take away and apply it in other uh, themes and ways, like the different coloring of the windows and how that can change the look of it. Because I thought that was very clever. I never would have considered that it might look like fire from the inside, but it does. I think it's pretty nifty. Um, we know we've seen some builds. I think we saw an old ruined church one time that had like broken windows, the stained glass. Um, there's other ways that you can do it, but again, it's not an easy thing to build destructed or destroyed parts. So I admire those that can play it off effectively and not make it look weird. So yeah, I think that's it for this community. Congrats on getting the honorable mention. And again, for those that missed our earlier videos, we have been covering all of the winners, including the honorable mentions from Carbine's Community Showdown competition that they hosted at the end of last year. Definitely take the time to check them out. If you can in person, that's even better. But if, for example, you don't have access to NA, you're stuck on Jabbit and you don't want to open up another account to get access to the NA side, I'm happy to have put these videos together to show off their efforts, because while Carbine did make a little bit of a video and did a live stream kind of showing off some of these places, sometimes, at least me personally, I'm dissatisfied with the amount of attention they give certain things and too much attention on things that probably shouldn't and that kind of stuff. So I prefer to come through here on my own and check it out. Again, I'm sure I've missed some things here and there, but hopefully we covered the majority and you guys got a good idea of the effort that went into putting these together. And of course, gain some inspiration for your own builds. Again, even if you're not going for a city type theme with different districts and stuff, that could give you an idea of for other things, though, on how you would divvy it up. Again, you don't have to do a full community just to do a city build. We have seen many, many, many city builds that are on a single individual plot and played it off really nicely. And in some ways, some builders prefer that downsized feel because they have a, I wouldn't say, well, it's a forced limit, but again, it's a different type of challenge. Can you tell me, Lucky, if you did all of these, all of this community by yourself, or was it a collab kind of thing? That would be the thing I would ask. Because I like to give credit where credit's due. If it's multiple players that put this together, they should be recognized as well. I don't think that was necessarily information that was taken in or offered when it came to announcing the winners and stuff. But yeah, like the street signs, it's a clever, fun way of doing it. Others find different ways to do. Some don't even give labels. Some just give you arrows, or they just let you run around willy-nilly, and you just have to kind of figure it out on your own. But I appreciate those that kind of go through the effort of trying to make their areas have better navigation, especially for someone like me that goes through and kind of gets lost. So it was just you. Well, that's amazing, because it was a lot of work that went into it. Um, and I know that's an added challenge too if you're going to work with someone else. Maybe they don't have the same ideas, or you have similar ideas, but still the blending is a little work. But yeah. So thank you guys again for joining me. I know it's not as long as we usually hang around, but hopefully you still had fun. Again, a lot of great ideas for those looking for ways to use lettering, items to be used for oversized buildings, just how the plot itself is laid out, the plan for it. To me, it's just inspiration all around, all of the plots that we visited. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. We'll be back next week on Jabbit, probably another community. I think we've got a few that participated in the competition but didn't get recognized, and I'm going to try and grab some shots of those. Again, if you missed any of our previous stuff, we literally have hundreds of hours of video footage of plots and communities that we visited in the past. Take the time to go through them. Maybe the game is down for maintenance, or you just have a few minutes. You don't want to waste it, or you're looking for something specific. Be sure to check out are archived videos. They're listed in the highlights on the Twitch channel page, but probably I think most go to the YouTube channel. I have them divvied up into different playlists where it's just the community videos, just the demo videos, just the housing videos for like the individual plots. I'm sure you'll find something there that will help inspire you to something new and bigger and better. In the meantime, have fun with whatever you happen to be working on now. Good luck with those projects, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.